contract killer continues to carry out one murder after another, but he is never caught. This is because his killings are so flawlessly executed that they appear to be natural deaths rather than murders. At one point, he is forced to kill his own mentor. However, the secret behind this murder gets exposed. What happened to him then? I was talking about Jason Statham's action-packed and thrilling movie, The Mechanic. And the twist at the end of the movie will leave you saying, "What just happened?" Hello friends, welcome to the thriller's world. The story begins with a scene in Colombia, where we see a private plane landing. From the plane emerges a man named George Lara, who is actually a notorious Colombian drug mafia. His security is extremely tight. Lara boards a vehicle surrounded by his bodyguards and soon reaches his home. Inside his house, security guards are stationed at every corner. Lara then approaches the swimming pool inside his house, and all the guards' attention is focused on the pool. He dives into the pool and starts swimming. After a while, he notices his watch underwater, and as soon as he goes to retrieve it, Arthur grabs him and tightly strangles him from behind. Within moments, Lara dies. Arthur kills him, but the surrounding guards remain completely unaware of it. All the guards believe their boss is still swimming. But Arthur's job is finished here, so he leaves. Then, all the guards find out that their boss is dead. They start searching for the killer, but by then, Arthur has gone far away, and soon he reaches his house. There we see Arthur's entire plan, that before killing anyone, he does a lot of research on them so that their death never looks like a murder, but rather like an accident. It takes a lot of effort to make any death look like an accident, but Arthur is an expert in this task. The next morning, while having breakfast, he sees on his laptop news that George Lara has died in an accident. After that, he goes to a restaurant to meet Harry McKenna, who actually gives Arthur these killing jobs. Then we learn that this person is also Arthur's mentor, who actually taught Arthur many things about these perfect murders. Harry and Arthur talk for a long time while sitting in the restaurant. There, Harry said to Arthur, "You have done this job very precisely, and you will be suitably rewarded for it." Then Arthur leaves the place. After that, he went to a bar and met a girl. Later, he spent some intimate moments with her. When he was about to leave, he left some money on the table for her and said, "I have to go now." The girl then asked, "What's your real name?" He replied, "Arthur." But the girl didn't believe him and jokingly said, "Your name could probably be Brad." Hearing this, Arthur didn't respond and returned to his home. While searching on Kansas Classified for his next target on his laptop, he sees an ad placed to kill Harry. In fact, when someone needs to hire a hitman, companies post ads titled "Mechanic Needed." Seeing the ad to kill Harry, Arthur calls the agency and says there must be some mistake. A girl from the agency responds that everything is correct. She double-checked it. Arthur then says he wants to meet with Dean, and with that, he throws his phone into the trash. Arthur then takes a private plane to meet Dean. There, Dean told him, Harry betrayed his team and killed 5 of his team members during an expedition in Africa. I am certain of this because only Harry and I knew about this expedition. Then Dean showed him Harry's bank account transactions and said, quote, "Harry made a deal with someone outside the organization, which poses a threat to the organization. Therefore, it is necessary to kill him, and you are the right person for this job. You have 48 hours to do it. If you don't want to do it, someone else will." Saying this, Dean leaves from there. At night, Arthur thinks a lot about the matter. At one point, he calls Harry and tells him that Dean's men are coming to kill him, so he needs to get out of his office as soon as possible. After saying this, Arthur starts explaining to Harry how he will get out of his office. He first tells Harry to shut down the electricity and CCTV cameras and come to the building's basement. When Harry arrives there, he sees bullet marks on his car's glass, and the car's wires are cut. When Arthur appears before him, Harry realizes that the person Dean sent to kill him is Arthur. Harry then said to Arthur, "You deceived my security guards with me, so now they don't know where I am. Wow. So how will you kill me now? Maybe you'll make up that old story about someone trying to rob me and killing me in the process." After saying this, Harry took out a gun, fired 3 shots into his car, and handed the gun to Arthur, saying, quote, "Maybe now your story will seem more realistic and people will think I defended myself. And if you don't kill me, they'll send someone else to do it. So I think you should do it, at least you'll have some regret for it." Then Arthur shot Harry and left the place. He sits at home, deep in thought. The next morning, we see Harry's son, Steve, standing in front of his father's grave. Arthur meets Steve McKenna there. Steve and Arthur have known each other for a long time, because Harry was Arthur's mentor. Then Steve and Arthur drive towards Harry's house. Sitting in the car, Arthur said to Steve, "Your father thought of you often and loved you very much." After arriving home, we see Steve looking very sad, and he starts talking about his relationship with Harry. Then, pointing to some guns on the table, Arthur asked, "What will you do with these?" Steve replied, "I will kill all the car thieves in the city. Maybe among them, I will find my father's killer." That thief was very ruthless. He showed no mercy to a disabled person and killed a disabled person. After hearing all this, Arthur left without saying anything. But Steve is very sad, so he starts shooting in his house and drinks heavily. At night, he parks his car in a deserted place. Then a thief comes there, points a gun at Steve, and says, "I want your car." Steve was actually waiting for someone like this because he believed such a thief had killed his father. So Steve then confuses the thief with his words and snatches the gun from him. Soon he attacks the thief and starts beating him badly. When the thief is almost half dead, Steve pulls out his gun and aims to shoot the thief. Just as Steve is about to shoot, Arthur suddenly arrives and says, "Are you crazy? Why are you killing him? He didn't kill your father. If you don't finish this soon, you'll be finished too." After saying this, he told Steve to leave quickly. The next morning, Steve met Arthur and said, "My father was your mentor, and he chose you over me and taught you all the things he should have taught me. He taught you everything, so now I want you to teach me because you owe my father, and to repay that debt, you have to teach me everything." But after hearing all this, Arthur didn't respond. He went home and looked at Harry's picture, thinking deeply. The next morning, Arthur called Steve and said, "I'm ready to teach you. Come meet me at 7 a.m. tomorrow." And the next morning, Steve came to meet Arthur. Arthur took him to a pet store and told him to buy a puppy. Then Arthur dropped him off in front of his house and said, "Train this puppy and meet me at 11 a.m. tomorrow." The next day, Arthur told him, "For the next 3 weeks, you will go to this cafe in Riverdale every day with the puppy. You will stay there for an hour, order black coffee, and sit at the table by the window solving puzzles in the newspaper." This is where Steve's training began. Arthur taught Steve something new every day. He told Steve, "We don't kill anyone directly, and we never do anything that makes it look like someone was murdered. If you want to get into this business, you need to learn these things. You need to figure out how to kill a person so that their death looks completely natural. To understand all this, you need to read and learn a lot about the human body." Steve's training continues in this manner. One day, Arthur takes Steve to meet a man, and under the pretext of making a deal, they enter the man's room. At one point during the conversation, Arthur wraps a belt around the man's neck and kills him. He then hangs the body in such a way that it looks like the man slipped and accidentally hung himself. Steve watches all of this very carefully. Arthur then took Steve to his house, and as soon as Steve entered the room and tried to play a song, Arthur stopped him and said, "Never touch this tape." Then Arthur gives Steve his first target, and when Steve sees the picture of the man he has to kill, he realizes that this is the man he has seen every day at the cafe. Arthur had repeatedly sent Steve to that cafe to get close to this man, because Arthur knew that the man liked puppies and was gay. Then Arthur tells Steve to get close to the man and gives him a drug called flunitrazepam. Arthur instructs him to take the man to a bar, make him drink a lot of alcohol, and mix the drug into his drink, which would cause the man to die and make it look like he died from excessive alcohol consumption. Everything goes according to plan initially. Steve goes to the bar with the man but doesn't mix the drug into his drink. The scene of Arthur killing the arms dealer in his room keeps playing in Steve's mind, and Steve wants to kill this man in the same way. So he doesn't drug the man's drink and goes to his house with him. Arthur had repeatedly warned Steve not to go to the man's house because he was very dangerous. This man was also a killer, but worked for other gangs. Moreover, the man was very strong, standing 6 feet 7 inches tall, and could easily kill Steve. But Steve ignores all these warnings, so he goes to the man's house and attacks him. However, the man is very strong and attacks Steve in return. A fierce fight ensues between the two, but eventually, Steve manages to kill the man with a large screwdriver. He kills the man very brutally. After killing the man, when Steve arrived at Arthur, Arthur got very angry and said, "I told you not to do all this." Later, when Dean gave Arthur his next mission, he informed Arthur, "You had this done by someone outside, which is not good for our business, so this time you will handle this new task yourself." Arthur replied, "All right, I'll take care of it." As Arthur was pinning up the pictures of the next target on the wall, Steve showed up and they began their investigation together. During their investigation, they learned that they have to kill a religious guru named Andrew Vaughn. They both begin their preparations and try to learn everything about this guru. Finally, they come up with a plan to inject him with a drug called adrenaline, which would make it look like the man died from a drug overdose. If the man survives the drug, the doctor, in an attempt to save him, would administer an epinephrine injection, which would surely kill him. Following their plan, they go to Chicago, where the guru is located. They secretly install CCTV cameras in his room to monitor him. At one point, when they enter the building to kill the man, they see on the camera that his doctor is giving him ketamine saline. After seeing this, Arthur realizes that their drugs will not work on the man now, so they change their plan. When the guru is alone, they insert a camera down his throat and strangle him, making it look like he died from a drug overdose. But suddenly the doctor comes back, so they quickly hide behind the wall. When the doctor checks the man's pulse, he finds that the man is dead and assumes it was due to an overdose. When all the guards come inside, they think the same thing. Suddenly, a screw falls from Steve's hand, and everyone realizes that someone else is in the room. The guards find Steve and Arthur hiding behind the wall and attack them, firing bullets in all directions. But killing Arthur and Steve is not so easy. In no time, Arthur and Steve manage to kill all the guards and escape from there. They go separate ways, with Arthur saying they will meet at home later. After leaving, while Arthur is waiting for his flight, he notices a man and recognizes him as one of the 5 people killed in South Africa, for which Harry was blamed. Arthur was shocked to see him alive and quickly approached the man inside a train. He said, "You were dead, but how are you still alive?" The man then told Arthur the whole story. "Dean had ordered me to kill my 4 companions, and after killing them, I faked my own death. In return, Dean gave me a lot of money. But Harry suspected us, so Dean wanted to kill Harry, and Dean's plan succeeded because you killed Harry." After revealing all this, the man attacks Arthur, and a fierce fight ensues between Arthur and the assassin. Arthur eventually kills the man and leaves. By then, Dean learns that Arthur knows everything, so he quickly sends his men to kill Arthur. But Arthur kills all those men and starts to leave the place. Arthur then called Steve. Hearing Steve's voice, Arthur realized that Dean's men had reached Steve and captured him. So Arthur said to Steve, "There is a gun hidden to the left of the sofa you are sitting on. Now, you have to do the rest of the work yourself." Steve uses that gun to kill all the men around him. Arthur then arrives at Steve's house and tells him to quickly pack all the weapons into the car. While Steve is gathering the weapons from the house, he finds his father's gun. Upon seeing it, Steve realizes that it was Arthur who killed his father. However, Steve says nothing to Arthur and sets off with him on a boat to kill Dean. But later, while driving on the road, Steve asked Arthur, "Have you ever killed someone you knew beforehand?" Arthur replied, "Yes." Then Steve asked him again, "Don't you ever regret it?" Arthur replied, "Not at the moment, but later I will." They then reach Finch's house. Steve shoots Finch in the knee, and Arthur pointed a gun at Finch's daughter and asked Finch, "Where is Dean?" In panic, Finch reveals that Dean is at 300 Colby Plaza. They make a plan. Arthur calls Dean and tells him that he knows everything about Harry and that he has come to the building to kill him. But this is actually a plan to lure Dean out of the building so that they can kill him easily. After Arthur hangs up the phone, Dean quickly gets into a car with his men and leaves the building, trying to escape with his bodyguards. But at one point during the conflict, Arthur and Steve start killing all of Dean's men one by one. And finally, they kill Dean too. After killing Dean, they start driving back home, and on the way, they talk. In the middle of the conversation, Arthur's eyes suddenly fall on the gun inside Steve's jacket. And Arthur realizes that Steve has now found out who killed his father. Arthur knows that Steve will surely take revenge for his father's death. Then they arrive at a petrol pump, and Steve gets out of the car to refuel it. While refueling, Steve deliberately spills a lot of petrol under the car. He steps back, pulls out his father's gun, and shoots the car, causing it to explode immediately. Steve thinks that Arthur has died in the explosion. Steve then went to Arthur's house. Upon arriving, he played the song on Arthur's tape. After playing the song, Steve went down to the garage, where Arthur's red car was parked, and Arthur had told him never to drive it. So Steve started driving the car. Then he found a letter on the car seat, which read, "Steve, if you are reading this letter, you will die." As soon as Steve reads the letter, the car explodes, and Steve dies right there. We then see Arthur's house, where the song is playing, and as the song ends, the entire house catches fire and explodes. This was all a setup, which is why Arthur repeatedly warned Steve not to play the song or drive the car. Arthur had probably set all of this up for this day. Then we see the petrol pump scene again. There we see two guards who are checking the CCTV footage. They notice in the footage that Arthur was sitting in the car, but had exited before Steve shot at it. When the explosion occurred, Arthur had already moved quite far from there. Now we see Arthur again, perfectly fine, as he drives away in another car. And this is where the story ends. But friends, Arthur's story doesn't end here. We will soon bring the next part of the story to our channel. So if you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next part of the story. Until then, stay well, stay healthy.